parents' interference ruin your life? I discovered my dad had been following me to work every day and getting my coworkers fired if he thought they were bad influences, which explained why nobody at my office lasted more than 3 months and why I kept finding GPS trackers on my car. My dad had always been overprotective. When I was growing up, he ran background checks on my friends' parents and made me text him photos every hour to prove where I was. He'd show up at parties to check the exits and pull me out of sleepovers if he heard someone cough. Mom left him when I was 12 because she said living with him was like being under surveillance. I thought moving 3 hours away from my job would give me freedom, but distance just made him more obsessive. He'd call constantly asking about my commute route, what I ate for lunch, who sat near me at work. I gave vague answers and figured he was just being his usual paranoid self. Then my coworker mentioned seeing my dad at the coffee shop across from our office every morning. He must really love his morning coffee, she laughed. My blood went cold. That coffee shop had a perfect view of our building entrance. I confronted him that night and he didn't even deny it. He'd been driving 3 hours every morning to follow me to work, sitting there all day watching who I talked to. He showed me his notebooks, detailed logs of everyone I interacted with, their license plates, their threat levels. He'd been getting people fired by calling in anonymous complaints when they got too friendly with me. That Mark guy was clearly an alcoholic, he said, and Jen had debt problems. You can't be around unstable people. He explained his system proudly. He'd befriended security guards, janitors, anyone who could give him information. Anyone who failed his tests got reported to HR with manufactured evidence. My workplace had become his personal experiment in controlling my environment. Then I realized how many of my relationships he'd destroyed. People I'd thought ghosted me had actually been threatened. My college roommate didn't suddenly move away. Dad had called her parents with fake stories about me. The guy I dated briefly didn't lose interest. Dad had him arrested on planted drug charges that got dropped but cost him his job. Every connection I tried to make, he'd severed systematically. I tried to get him banned from my workplace, but he'd thought ahead. He volunteered for building security committees, donated to office charities, made himself indispensable. When I complained, people thought I was ungrateful for having such a devoted father. He'd even convinced my boss he was helping protect the company from bad hires. My boss thanked him for his vigilance while I stood there speechless. I tried to take my mind off his insanity by dating Ben from accounting. Dad couldn't get him fired because Ben's uncle owned the company. For the first time, I had someone Dad couldn't remove. Ben noticed things I'd normalized, like how my coworkers were terrified to talk to me or how the janitor reported my conversations. When I finally told him everything, he helped me see how insane my life had become. We tried to document Dad's stalking, but he was always just within legal boundaries, sitting in public spaces, making concerned reports, volunteering for committees. The police said without threats or violence, he was just an over-involved parent. So Ben and I decided to move to his hometown where his family had connections Dad couldn't infiltrate. We planned secretly, booking flights under his name, using only cash. The night before we were supposed to leave, I found Dad in my apartment with boxes of evidence. But this time it wasn't about me. He had photos of Ben with underage girls, bank records showing embezzled funds, messages planning to sell company secrets. All fabricated, but so professionally done they looked real. Did you really think I'd let you run off with someone I couldn't control? He asked. I've been building this for months. He explained his new plan. He'd already filed reports with Ben's uncle about the embezzlement, sent anonymous tips about the photos to police. The warrant will be issued tomorrow morning, he said calmly. Ben can spend 20 years in prison, or you can stay here where you belong. Your choice. He showed me more evidence. Ben's fingerprints on doctored documents, security footage edited to show him stealing, a digital trail so perfect even experts would believe it. I tried to warn Ben, but Dad had already thought of that. Go ahead, tell him, he said. Tell him to run, make him look guilty, or let him get arrested at work tomorrow in front of everyone. Either way, his life is over unless you stay. He'd finally found the perfect leverage, someone I actually loved who he could destroy completely. My hands shook as I realized the trap. If I warned Ben, he'd run and look guilty. If I didn't, he'd be arrested for crimes that would ruin him. Dad had spent months creating evidence so seamless that no one would believe Ben's innocence. I'll give you tonight to say goodbye, Dad said, heading for the door. But if you're not at work tomorrow morning like nothing happened, Ben's arrest will be messy. Resisting arrest maybe. Police get trigger happy with dangerous criminals. I sat in my apartment, knowing I had hours to choose. Condemn an innocent man to prison, or condemn myself to a lifetime of surveillance. I was screwed. Full story on the channel below.